Okay, here we go. Waiting for YouTube to tell me we're live. Hello, everybody on the internet. We are alive, and hopefully everything is working. Let us know in the chat if you can hear us okay. The reason why I actually asked that question is because the master mix doesn't come back through my headset. Otherwise, I would hear myself twice. I can make it do that, but it's just absolutely freaking annoying. So you end up sounding like a pleb when you're talking, because you actually you catch yourself slowing down as you talk. I don't know if you guys have ever had a bad studio talkback mic or something like that in any recording studio situations where there's a latency, and you'll find yourself slowing down your speech because you're trying to listen to yourself and there's that latency, and you sound like you've just had a brain aneurysm or something. But yes, beautiful. No brain aneurysms here. Inverted Pope's just now a moderator, and that's because he's awesome. So bad luck if you don't like it. No, he's there's reasons. He'll
not made me a moderator yet. Obviously, you don't trust me.
No,
you don't have to.
No, I haven't. I actually haven't.
Yeah, not that many moderators.
That's all right. Moderators are good.
No.
There you go.
Booted out. I'm in blue now. Woohoo! Oh, power.
All right. Hello to everybody anyway. Now, happy 808 day if you haven't worked that one out. Yes, it's the 8th of the 8th today. And for those who absolutely hate 808s, see you later. We're going to be talking a fair bit about them today. But that'll happen in about 13 minutes time when we start the real show. This is called the pre-show for those who have never ever been here before. When I always say the same stuff each week, and I guarantee that there's no one new here. It's always the same people. So it's kind of like we're talking like a broken record. But anyway, Aussie in Manchester, Andrew Bolt. Wow. There is actually a famous Andrew Bolt. He's like a media guy. He's on the Sky News, so it's not the same Andrew Bolt as that, but yeah, he's obviously a cooler Andrew Bolt because the other guy's a bit of a conservative.
Well, he's probably realised that it's quite cloudy and dead hot.
Not me.
Not there's anything wrong with conservatives.
Well, quite, yeah. No.
We won't go there, will we, Boz? Hey, Boz, how's your country going there, Boz? Inky's there, beautiful. Okay, let's say good day to everybody in the chat. Now, the camera's here, and my screen is literally like an eye glance down, so I'm not looking at the screen. I know it's a bit annoying, but there's no other way to read, guys, so unless I've got one of those. I should invest one. It's so much expensive having cameras and stuff, but you could get one of those auto cue things now. They're getting pretty cheap. Anyway, Finn was the first in, so he gets the Guernsey. Wagoo was second. Then we had Inverted Popes was third. I'm not going to keep counting the numbers now because I'm losing my head. ASIO head's there. Then JX3D from Copenhagen. Beautiful. Good to see you, mate. Finn. Yeah, I said Finn. Who else? Sonic Neutronic, Sasquatch, Michael Elliott. Inky, who else? Andrew Bolt, as I mentioned before, big hello to you. And Sergio, awesome.
Denver.
Oh, Denver. From the United States of America. And we got Dean Bridges from Ireland. Top of the morning to you. Jared Almeida. Analog's Toy official. He's awesome, that guy. If you ever get a chance to check him out on SoundCloud, he has got some awesome tracks.
Who's that?
Analog Story. Yeah, I know his first name, but I won't mention it just in case he doesn't want me to mention it.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, check him out on SoundCloud. He's really, really good. He's been getting number ones in certain charts, like underground charts and stuff. He's been doing really well. Darren, I reckon if you started doing SoundCloud, you'd be getting number ones too, mate. You should think about doing SoundCloud.
I doubt it. I'm on SoundCloud under the Sound Chasers, but I've not put anything up for years.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If you started doing
every
stuff.
time you do, Darren, get it stuck up there because they're all really, really worth it. They're worthy.
Oh, he's mentioned his name.
Done it.
He's mentioned his name, so I can say his name now. His name's Gear. It's not actually how you pronounce it. It's not how you pronounce it. But it's cool being called Gear because you could say, you know, he's got gear acquisition syndrome. That's his full name. No, I'm just joking. He's really, really cool. Who else is there? Who was for the Denver one? Did I miss that one?
Yeah, you said him. Oh,
yeah, Jared.
They mentioned him.
Yeah,
beautiful. Cool.
Jared.
So it must be really early in Denver. So there you go. And who's actually out of you guys in chat? Who actually owns an 808? I'm guessing someone like Wagoo probably would have one, but I don't know. We'll see. I'm interested to know if any of you guys actually have a real TR-808. Or if you don't have one anymore, did you actually own one? And I'm not talking about like borrowed it from a mate for five weeks. I'm talking about actually physically owned one. We're going to talk about owning one a bit later as well. That's going to come up as well. So yes.
Andrew Paul just says original. So I'm assuming that means he's got an original one. So cool.
Okay.
Andrew Ball, is he in Manchester? Because he's near me. He can lend me his original TR-808.
Yeah, well.
I have had an original TR-808 in here. It wasn't mine, but I have had one in here.
So Steve Olbos said that he hasn't got one or a fake one now or in the past. Okay, cool. Michael Elliott said his band had one and they shared it. Cool. You can give your band name a plug if they're still around, or if they're not anymore, doesn't matter. Someone might have heard of them. JX3D's still saying that. Yeah, that just sucks, eh? Wish I could do something about that, mate, but I don't have enough billions of dollars to fight those legal people. Yeah. I actually do know a guy who's got an 808, but he wouldn't lend it to me for the show. I was actually a bit sad about that. No, he was it was not working. So
you can understand people wanting to let those little things out. Well, big things. They're pretty huge, aren't they? A real 808.
Yeah.
When you actually see a real one, it's much bigger than you think it's going to be.
Probably about that big.
Yeah, a good. Yeah. Big chunky beast.
Yeah. I'm sure a lot of us who have had MPCs have had like crappy 808 samples over the years. What was the first MPC, Darren? The MPC 60, was it? Was that the first one?
Yeah, I think it could have been.
Yeah.
No,
I think he will be able to tell us. MPC 60 or something like that was the first MPC. And they had 808 samples on them, but factory samples. And they were pretty lo-fi.
Mm-hmm.
So, but anyway, we're going to talk about that later. Yeah, Steve Elbows, I'm joining you, mate. I had a migraine earlier today as well, and it's still it's still there. I just wish it would just bugger off. I don't like them. So Squatch is saying owning an 808 showed him that he hasn't really got a clue about owning about drum machine patterns. Yeah. I think the sequencer in the 808.
A few keys at random.
Yeah, the sequencer in the 808 was reasonable. I'm not going to say it was the most intuitive, but it was reasonable for its day. It was pretty advanced for its day. If you sort of put yourself in a time machine, go back to the early to mid 80s, you'd probably think it's pretty awesome. But today it wasn't. It's not that reasonable. A lot of people who have recently got them and spent a lot of money on them actually comment to me that they think it's a bit of a pig to program. I don't know if I agree with that. It is kind of expected to be. It would. I mean, you wouldn't sort of base your modern knowledge. Does that make sense? You go into it feeling this thing's going to be vintage and nostalgic, so I'm expecting it to behave vintage and nostalgic. I'm not expecting it to be some modern, brilliant thing. I actually think it's quite.
I think it sounds pretty much as I thought it would sound.
Sound-wise, yeah.
I
was talking about. Talking about programming.
The early house tracks. Oh, programming.
Yeah, talking about programming. Yeah. I mean, you don't even need
Bass
to
drum's
buy.
not as long, is it?
You don't need to buy an 808. There are literally free samples all over the internet. You can literally make a track with 808 samples, and you could get away with it. Someone wouldn't even know if you used one or not.
That's where the arguments start, isn't it? Because the purists will say, I can hear that that's not an 808. An 808 sequencer doesn't sound like that.
Yeah.
And there's some truth in it. I mean, I've had people comment on tracks that I've done where I've used 808s. Actually, there were samples off. Oh, I suppose we might come to this eventually, but a Novation drum station, which I borrowed off a friend and just spent hours sampling all these different sounds at different pitches and everything, and built up kits. But people just said, well, actually, you know, it was one guy who actually did some mastering, and he got, you know, ears of crystal, that guy, and he could even tell you whether you'd used an Atari, a Mac, or a PC to record your tunes on. His ears were that good.
Yeah, if you listen to them a lot, you'd know.
It just doesn't sound like an 808 sequencer.
Yeah, but that's the thing. If you're comparing it to someone like him, and I know people like that as well, they will pick it straight away. But people that are just the average punter who listens to music on Spotify or whatever, they won't pick it.
No, it's just a sound. No, of course not. Which is why a lot of us will be content to just use whatever we've got. I mean,
see, that's the thing.
We've all got things that have got those samples in.
All of us now are probably finding that we listen to music now. The more and more you get into synths, the more and more you'll start identifying synths when you listen to it. So, I mean, I'm listening to the top 40 stuff that's on whatever you want to call it these days, streaming media, and I can identify synths. I can identify VSTs, and I can identify. So even if you watch TV, you know, they do that sort of music in the background with a lot of productions now. One of the most common things I'm hearing at the moment is Alien Drum from 8DIO. You just hear that thing all the time. It's kind of like a percussive sort of chromatic sounding drum, like a bit like a metal drum from the, you know, Jamaican, but it's kind of synthed. It's very common. If I fire it up and play it, you guys will go, yeah, I've heard that all the time. And you just literally hear it in just about every BBC, ABC, you know, these kind of productions. They've got it in the background.
Can you do that? Because I don't know what you're talking about.
I'll fire it up a bit later. Remind me.
If it's a plugin,
it's a VST. You have to pay for it.
Very little experience. You
have to pay for it though, but it is, you know, you can get them when they're on sale and stuff. Okay, what are we, about 2 minutes away? I'm going to hit record now. Okay, that's good. Yeah, I think we'll also talk about musicians who kind of got us into 808. I think we'll cover all bases. I want to talk a little bit about the history too. There's a little bit to cover, so hopefully it should fill the show up, and hopefully it doesn't bore people too much. I think there's enough to cover anyway. Isn't it amazing how a drum machine can cover so many sort of topics? Sound, favorite musician, vintage prices. You can cover so many topics. Sequencing. Yeah. We are going to talk about influences too. So what, not artist influences, but what machines got influenced by the 808. So that's something else to think about as well. So yeah, all right, let's kick that up. Just waiting for my clock to tell me. Such a perfectionist sometimes, aren't I? So nerdy. All right, let's do this. Well, we have reached another Saturday, and it's awesome to have you guys here watching. And yes, you've reached Ramsey's live stream, and this week we are celebrating 808 Day. Happy 808 Day. It's the 8th of August. If you haven't worked that out yet, if you've just woken up and you just rubbed the sleep out of your eyes and you're just making yourself a coffee, go grab yourself a TR-808 if you've got one lying around it, and bang some sequences into it. Anyway, big warm welcome to everyone else that's here. We'll start off with random pressing buttons How you going, Darren? Got him with his mouth full again. Beautiful.
I'm doing fine.
How's your week, man?
I'm doing fine, yeah. I've got my fish and chips again, haven't I? So.
Beautiful. All right. I will go next to Andy. How you going, Andy? Nice to see you again. How's your week been?
Oh, nice to see you all as well. Not too bad. I had fish and chips for my lunch, but proper fish and chips. Yeah, I had a I've not really enjoyed it very much. It's been very hot and very sticky, and I felt pretty dreadful. I've taken a leaf out of Darren's book and got some old vinyl out to stick on the side here, just in celebration of 808s. We've got two 808s, Quadrastate and 90, two of my
nicely done.
faves.
Nicely done.
Yeah, so we got those sitting there. Yeah, it's been sort of a quietish week in many ways.
What's your favourite 808 State album?
90.
90, yeah.
That one. For lots of different reasons. That was the album that really got me into 808 State, but actually really turned me on to the whole idea of techno. It was a mate of mine, and I first heard it when I was actually living in Germany. And I thought that is, I mean, I was already aware of the stuff, and I liked other things. I'd got various bits by the Shaman and Baby Ford and things, but it was, that 808 State 90. I just loved it, and every now and again I still like sticking that on it. There's not a bad track on it. It's brilliant.
Yeah, it's a good one. Yeah, it's a good one. Yeah, beautiful. Well, that is it. That's just us three. And also we've got these awesome people called Chatties. And they're all here. So don't forget to, if you actually are if you are lurking and you haven't jumped into the chat, you've got a couple of options. You can jump into the YouTube chat, which is on I never get it right, that side of me, and you can see yourself there. Or if you're into Discord, and there's a Discord link in the description of the video if you haven't got it, which will take you straight to the server that we use, and that's the live stream chat channel. If you're new to that, though, you've only just joined it, you will have to agree to the rules, and then you'll start to see all the other channel names pop up. But anyway, let's get back to business. What we'll start off with is, instead of doing our normal sort of regular segments at the first, what we'll do is I think we'll have a little look at the 808 side. So I think first we'll just kind of talk about this dude here. Tadao Kikumoto. He's a pretty cool guy. Why is he pretty cool? If you didn't know, he's one of the original designers and developers of the TR-808. And he's been, I don't know if you guys have got access to Roland's articles, but he's been recently interviewed. It's actually a really, really good article about him. He talks about what sort of influenced him and how he kind of designed the 808. It's interesting, that photo too. You can see he's got one built there. It's one of the prototypes, and he's also got the guts of one standing up next to it. But there's a more recent photo of him here, so you can see this is who he is today, I believe. But yeah, there's some interesting stuff that's come out of Roland, and I do recommend, I will put a link in the description in later of the video on how to get to all this stuff. But they talked about the original vision of the 808 and where they wanted to steer away from. And, they were saying that the 80s was a very fast moving technology period, and there was digital technology coming out, and there was influences like, for example, they didn't want to put a pulse code modulation or PCM sample-based drum machine together. They actually wanted a proper synthesizer. And I think that was a stroke of genius. Imagine if Roland didn't do that. Imagine if the 808 was a PCM. It would just be nothing like it, wouldn't it? And the fact that it's got actual synthesis voices in it, from an analog synth point of view, was pretty cool. So the other thing I probably should show you guys is, if you've never ever seen one of them before, that's what they look like. If you've been living under a rock, you've never seen a TR-808. Some people do forget the original, what they actually do look like. So it's kind of good to refresh your memory, because we're going to be talking about these a bit today, and just kind of familiarize yourself with the layout of the land there, how you've got the different the bass drum, snare drum. It's sort of that sort of left to right, and then your sequencer section down the bottom. So interesting. Anyway, so there's a little quick sort of review of the 808, and yeah. Now, I don't actually own an 808, so if you've come here wanting to listen to an 808, I do apologise, but they're really expensive, and I never got to have one from the early days. Anyway, but what I do have is a couple of drum machines which I feel have been directly influenced by the 808, and we'll start off with this one, which is Roland's modern, probably their first modern remake of the 808, and that's TR-8. Now the TR-8 is a digital drum machine, if you never know, and Roland started making this technology called ACB, or analog circuit behavior, it stands for, where they've physically modeled all the analog circuits of the TR-8 and have gone through and programmed these into a bit of a DSP/FPGA sort of digital chip in here. Now, I actually think these things sound amazing. And I also think these are probably one of the better made drum machines by Roland. From a performance point of view, it's actually quite intuitive. And even though they've made subsequent ones to this, I actually don't like as much as I actually like this. So, I don't know, these you can pick up. Andy, you were saying these are actually hard to get now. I thought they were pretty cheap.
I was just looking on Facebook Marketplace and on eBay for second-hand TR-8, not the TR-8S, just the model that you've got there.
Yeah.
And there were not very many, and the ones that were there, they had held their price pretty well. I mean, they were being sort of sold off around the £299 mark, a year or so ago. And that's about what they're going for, 300 to 4. I mean, the most expensive one was £450. So
Jeez, that's quite a lot.
Yeah, it is. Because I think, like, as we said, they've become quite sought after in themselves. A lot of people want that layout. I mean, like myself, I think I really would quite like one of those in here, just for the convenience of it.
Yeah.
I wish I'd got one previously, but I didn't. So
well, let's get to the next one.
I think it might be a little classic in its own right, like you said.
It probably will. I mean, there's a lot of them out there though, so I wouldn't be too worried. You'd probably be able to get your hands on one. This is the next one that I thought I'd show you guys. Now, this was the original drum brute from Arturi. This is not the Impact. This is the original one. Now, I have, I'm going to say something that a few people will probably disagree with, but I actually think this is the better drum brute because this one, it's more an analog synthesis drum machine. So this really does kind of take on the influence of the 808. And it's got a lot of, individual outs on the back, which is really, really handy because this was actually made so that you could process these tones into something else. That was its point. It wasn't a groove box, which a lot of people were disappointed with because they thought, it doesn't sound as good as I was hoping. And I reckon it sounds awesome, but a lot of people said it didn't like the sound of it. So they brought the Impact out, which kind of had a bit more processing on the kick drum for a start anyway. But definitely a lot of people did like the Impact. They thought it was a better form factor as well. This is a lot bigger as well. But I actually love this. This is actually a really good drum machine, and it's very analog. So in terms of being, an influenced drum machine from the 808, that's definitely one. And people will probably disagree with me, but I don't care. The other one that I reckon is quite influenced by the 808 is this one, the Volca Beats. And Korg will probably disagree with this, but they'll probably say, it's a mini pops, isn't it? No, it's nothing like a mini pops. There's actually a few tones in this that are very 808-ish. So if you've got that's a cheap analog drum machine. If you got one, mind you though, I will admit the snare on this, it's probably the shittiest sounding snare in the world. But some people like it. So there you go. There's a little bit of show and tell, but not here because I haven't got them plugged in. But you can I can play them later if you want. There you go. Andy's got one. Keep holding it up. Where was it? Up there.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
It gets plugged in every now and again just to produce a nice deep bass drum to go with it. I don't use it for an awful lot, but I do like it, I have to say. It's one of those, oddly enough, that Volker beat, when I got it, I just thought it was, I thought, oh, it doesn't sound that good at all. And I was pairing it up with the Volker bass, and it was just annoying. And oddly enough, the more I use it, and the more I sort of dig it out just to mess about with for a bit of fun, the more I've grown to like it for its silly quirks. Yeah, the snare drum is pretty grotty. If you layer it with the clap, it's okay. But it's just that bass drum, and putting the bass drum underneath other beats is quite a
the bass drum is delicious.
Sort of gives it a lift.
Yeah, the bass drum is delicious.
Yeah, it's good.
I probably agree with you. I think some of the other sounds out of it aren't as delicious, but the bass drum definitely has its 808 influence in that, definitely, for sure. Finn just mentioned that he would probably get a drum brute now that I've mentioned it. No, just because I said Finn, I don't think we should go there. That's very slippery slope. No, it's pretty cool. I should get myself out and do a video on. I have done a small video on the drum brute many years ago where I've just talked about using the individual outs into a mixer and just sort of playing with that. It wasn't a very good video, so don't go watch it. But yeah, they do suffer from the Arturia build quality issues. So I will warn you there. However, yeah, it's one of those things. Ken's saying it's hilarious. The thing is, when you put the drum brute side by side with an actual 808, the difference in the kick is so small when it's set so right. Well, there you go. So you've heard from Ken. I actually haven't ever been able to do that because I don't have an 808, but I have heard people have said that, and so there you go. There's some other good examples of analog drum machines that have been influenced, like the you mentioned it, Sergio mentioned the Akai Rhythm Wolf. If Mr. Mac was here, he'd probably agree with you. He's a big Akai Timberwolf or Rhythm Wolf fan. But yeah, anyway, we shall move right along. What we'll do now is, Darren, you haven't said much. I think, do you want to just talk a little bit about your 808 gear? Because you've got a TR-8. Are you muted? You're muted. You're muted, buddy.
I can only really say what you said, really. Yeah, the TR-8. You can see that there. But,
on the window. Yep.
Yeah, I think that's probably the best one that they've done in modern era. I'm not a fan of the TR-8S, but it'd be great for playing live. It's got that sort of all with the sliders, really nice. But yeah, I can't really add to what you said about it.
Now, how much have you played with your circuit? Because this was something that I was going to mention, but I thought I'll leave it for you because now you and I both have circuits, and there's Inky in the chat room. She's got a couple of circuits. Now, they do have some 808 sounds in the circuits. Have you heard them? What do you think of those?
They sound quite good, actually. I think when I did the jam with it, I used some of the 808 sounds off it. They're quite nice. They're good.
Decent samples, yeah.
They are decent. I've not played with it recently. I've been too busy doing other stuff, but when I do take it down or whatever, I can pop it on in. I'll go think about it and listen to it. But yeah, the drum sounds are really good on this circuit, actually.
So just while we've got everyone here, when you think about it, right, just have a little look around your studio, and this is to you guys who are in chat as well as whoever's watching this on replay. Just have a little look around your studio, and even have a little look around on your DAW and have a look at how many 808 influence things you have, and you'll start to just about be amazed how many things are out there. I mean, we could talk about Akai MPC Lives, and all the MPCs really. They've always had 808 sounds in them as far as I can remember. But yeah, so I mean, that was we're celebrating 808 Day, so that's kind of the reason for it. All right. Yeah.
The XP has lots of 808s.
Yeah, it does. Well. Yeah. And they are actually what we talked about before, the pulse code modulation samples that Roland started getting into after they finished that sort of 808 stuff. When they got into the 901 And further on, I started getting into those pulse code modulation samples. All right, we shall move along. We've got to run a couple of regular segments. So we'll start off with FunnySide, see if this works. The buttons are starting to become a little bit more reliable now, which is awesome. Now, you have reached the end of the internet where apparently stranger things do happen, and apparently they're not very funny. The first one that I came across, I can't even remember what this one said. So the awkward moment when you drive your car, Chevy to the levee, and the levee isn't dry, and then someone comments underneath, that's what happens when you drink whiskey and rye. That could have been the day that you died. But yes, I thought it's not really synth related, but it's music related. See, they don't always come from synth places. All right, what's the next one? Oh, yes, this was me. I was just getting a little bit annoyed with people saying on my SoundCloud tracks that they're loving the vibes on this track, and there's actually no vibraphone at all on the track. So I just sort of have a little bit of fun with it. Who's been getting when you've got SoundCloud or you've got some sort of social media version of your track up there and people they're typing away, oh, I love the vibes on your track. I mean, it's nice that they make a comment like that, but that seems to be the most common one. So I thought I'd have a bit of fun with it. Okay, what else we got? Oh, you'll like this one, Andy. You'll like this one.
Yes.
I don't know why anyone hasn't done this yet. I was getting a bit silly during the week, and I just thought, nah,
we already have one.
Got to put the Monty Python in this.
It's only a flesh wound.
Now, how would they say that bottom word there? Would they say it correctly? Yes.
I think that's one of my favourite films, actually.
We are the knights that say icky, icky, icky. No, I won't go there. Yes. All right, what about this one? This one was from you, Andy, I think.
I just thought it was the silliest thing I've seen. I mean, what is that all about? Come on.
That was a real ad, wasn't it?
I have no idea. I mean, who would have thought that was going to sell synths? Everybody none needs a synthy. Oh, honestly, I just saw the picture and it must be. I thought it must be a mock-up, except it does have all the right addresses and everything. Weird, just weird.
Someone can tell us if that's actually a real ad or if this is just a meme that's been doctored in Photoshop modernly. But I wouldn't be surprised. EMS did have some pretty kind of crazy, far out sort of ads in the past. All right, what was your favourite meme for the week, Darren?
Well, it's going to have to be the Holy Grail one.
Yes. Andy?
I'm sorry, but driving your Chevy to the levee when the levee just wasn't dry, probably after you've drunk too much whiskey and rye. Because I thought it was just clever. I thought it was just funny.
Yes, I normally that's the thing. The risky ones I put in there aren't from my usual places that I find memes at. But that was one of my family members tagging me in that one. I thought, okay, it's going to go on the show. All right, what shall we do next? We should probably talk about some news. Let's do this. Yes, we have a bit of news. Now, I should mention that Zoom have been pretty busy because they've been getting a lot of airplay lately in the news. Someone need to put a pin in their calendar and remember that sort of June, July, August is when Zoom bring out all their products. I don't know. Anyway, this one's just popped up, and I thought, the other one we showed the other week was just as good, but this seems to be more of a portable thing. It's called the Zoom P4. It is a 4-track audio recorder designed for podcasters. Everything seems to be designed for podcasters now. Portable and lets you, obviously because battery powered, lets you run 2 AA batteries, and I reckon it can last for up to 4 hours. I would love to test that theory. I would love to test that. I've got all the gear here that I could test that. I'm going to do that one day. Anyway, it lets you connect wirelessly to it, which is probably one of the cool things about this. So it does like a Bluetooth connection, so you could have audio coming in that way. And also it's 4-channel as well, which is pretty obvious by the amount of connectivities and pots that you've got on the front. Anyway, $300 US. Do we want to watch a video on this? Guys, should we do it? Should we give them a
Your
plug?
show runs.
I don't even know how good this is going to be. All right. These videos make me laugh.
What up, people? Welcome to Ambiance Podcast. My name is Levi. I'm the host. We have some amazing guests lined up for you today. Why don't you introduce yourself and have your team do the same?
What's good, everybody? My name is Murph. I'm from the Bronx, and I am the designer and creator of Alani Taylor.
Hi, my name is Tyler. I'm a model for Alani Taylor, and I'm from the Bay Area.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is BB, head stylist of Alani Taylor, calling in from Cincinnati, Ohio.
Awesome. Well, Murph, tell us what inspired you to create your clothing brand.
First, my inspiration came from the birth of my daughter.
All right, I think we get the idea. I think that's trying to show that you can use it for podcasts and stuff like that. So, yeah, I think we got the idea. And it just keeps going on and on and on and on and on. But you guys you can guys work it out. Anyway, $300 US. Do you guys think that's good value for money for a 4-port podcast portable recorder? It does multi-track when you record.
I like the look of it compared to the was it the H8? That really weird looking with the app.
The alien thing, yeah.
Released.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that looks better. Better design look.
It's a lot smaller.
It looks more sensible,
smaller.
more practical.
Yeah. Well, it's a lot easier to use as well rather than having an app, because once you're tied to an app, that's got to be a pain.
Yes, that's true. That is true. Andy, did you want to say, or should we move on to the next?
I was just thinking, is this a return to the 4-track Porter Studio?
Yeah,
but in digital. I mean, is that what this is? It's just a 4-track recorder.
4-track recorder.
They're always useful. Those of us that grew up with those things will remember them very fondly. And I suppose if you've got to record 4 different inputs separately, it would be a very handy thing. And what, $300 isn't a huge amount. I mean, I think my original 4-track cassette machine cost that much when I bought it way back in when the dinosaurs were still roaming around.
Yeah, I've got my H6, whatever it's called, the recorder. I've shown you guys it before. One of the things that annoys me about it, and they do it on purpose, is they put the little display. The microphone's at one end and the display is kind of beveled down and points down, and that's at the back. But when you're doing podcasting, that's actually where you need it, because that's where you'd have the microphone pointed at your guest. But for me, I'm recording me, not my guest. So I can't see any of the levels or anything like that. And it's one of the things that annoys me about it is, you can't flip it around. But you can always just plug an extra mic into it or whatever. But yeah, it's just one of the little annoyances. All right, let's move on to the next one. I don't know, you guys might be interested in this. This one here. This is the new Akai MPK Mini that's been announced. Pretty cool. What can I say about it? Okay, so if you guys have seen the MPK Minis before, this is a Mark III. So this is their 3rd iteration. What's different about this is it's got that nice OLED display you can see sort of up top on the right-hand side there. They've now this is the thing that I want to talk to you guys about. Marketing talk, right? They're saying in this that it's got a 25 key keyboard, but they're claiming it delivers piano key performance. What does that mean? Does that mean this thing is going to feel like the keyboard of a Moog Sub 37 or an original DX7 key? You know, is that going to be that sort of quality, or is it going to be one of those massive grand piano from Yamaha or something like that?
I defy anybody to play Rachmaninoff on that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you might find you might start tapping the table. It does. The other thing I like about it though is it does actually have built-in arpeggiator. It's class compliant, and actually the form factor works on this. It's actually pretty slim in terms of its depth. It does have DAW mode, DAW modes on it, like all the previous models have. And what else can I tell you about it? A price. It is $99 US, which I think is probably the cool thing about it. That is actually really cheap. Is it a key step? Is it a key step? Competitor? No, because it doesn't have half the stuff the Keystep's got, so it's not really a Keystep competitor. But it's yeah.
Wagoo's just asked, where's my pitch and mod? Where's my pitch and mod wheels?
You've got that,
or is that?
You've got the giant red nipple,
red thing. Is that what that is?
That's probably what that is. Well, let's have a look, see if there's a video on it.
Nipple controller. That's a.
There we go. There's the sound packs that comes with it. So yeah, it's got a whole bunch of stuff that comes with it. The sound packs, they're actually free, which is actually a pretty cool thing. So you might just get it purely for that. I don't know if the sound packs are worth $99 US, but yeah. Did anyone catch the back of it? Was there a quick grab of the back of this thing? I think it just had a USB port on the back, didn't it? I don't think they showed the back of it, did they? We might have to have another look at that, because I just wanted to see if there was any other connectivity on the back. It didn't list it on my little spiel thing that I've got here anyway. Any of you guys interested in the MPK Mini Mark III? 99 US?
I don't know. I've got lots of controllers now. I'm getting a bit... it looks alright, actually. It looks quite
Are you feeling
nice.
a bit controlled, Darren?
Yeah, I've got the Novation Mini Mark III.
Yep.
Push.
Yeah.
Umpteen keyboards.
Yeah.
In fact, I've got an Alessi. This one here.
And you've got
my main one.
And you've got a wife too.
Oh, exactly. So I'm completely controlled. So I've got that as my keyboard.
Yeah, the Alesis.
It's actually great. I quite like the keys on this. Nice keys.
Yeah.
Not that I'm a keyboard player, so.
That's a bit bigger though than this little MPK, isn't it? So.
Does anybody know what the sound packs are actually like? Are the sound packs any good?
So I've actually used, I don't know these specific ones. I've used the Akai sound packs because I've got an MPC, and they make really, really good sound packs. Really top quality.
Are they derivative from those MPC sound packs? Are they just sample?
I would assume so. Yeah.
And does it come with does this little controller come with that MPC software? If it's all bundled together, so that you can stick it on your computer, open them up straight away. Because I mean, if those sound packs are good, and it all works smoothly on your computer, then for £99, it might be a really, really good way into some quite nice computer-based sounds, which
well, the samples
is a good ploy.
The samples that they make are always really top notch. I find the Akai stuff always good quality. Sometimes you get a few dodgy ones, but most of them are really, really good. And usually the free ones are the ones that kind of end up being quite legacy, because the world uses the free stuff before they go out and buy it, don't they? So they end up in more places.
Akai did that for that free drum loop, that drum station thing. The
NPC Beats.
We talked about it a week or so ago, and if they're giving that away free anyway, maybe that comes bundled in, and I don't know. It might be a really good way to get a useful little keyboard with loads of sounds for next to nothing.
And they did talk about that having the 8 pads are actually MPC style pads. So none of us have actually touched one of these, so we can't confirm or deny whether that's true. But you got to believe them at some point.
It'd be great for traveling, isn't it? If you've got your laptop, one of them. And the sound packs, a bit like Novation do as well with stuff. You get your sound packs. The stuff that you get with it is usually what you want more than the actual product itself. Because you end up
that could be a possibility
in the end, and then just use it.
So Finn in the chat room saying that he downloaded Beats, looked quizzically at it for 5 minutes, and then put it in the bin. Okay, fair enough. Look, MPCs it's either for you or it's not. It's one of those love or hate things. A bit like DAWs. Right.
Inky's made a comment as well about that, so that it's made free MPC software, which is the same synths as the MPC Live. It's cool. So
there you go.
Might be well worth a look.
Good to see Andrew in the chat room. Andrew Mees there. He said, "What? No MIDI pass?" And Andrew, it's USB and it is class compliant. Now, I actually had a conversation with someone in the Akai forum about this the other day because I was looking it up, and literally about 5 minutes later, the post came up, and the guy was saying, "Oh, can I plug this into the back of my MPC Live?" And I went, "Yep," because it's class compliant. You can also plug it into your iPad as well. Okay, let's go to the next one. 1, 2, 3. These things are pretty cool. You guys ever heard of this company called Ladik? Ladik. They're from the Czech Republic, I believe. Look, these guys make a stack of Eurorack modules, and a lot of the Eurorack modules are kind of utility based. So you'll see things like headphones, stereo lines, EQs, mixers, balance lines, mults, sequential logic modules, a whole bunch of this sort of stuff. Now, why am I showing it? Well, they are only priced around the 40 to $100 sort of mark, these modules. So they're extremely cheap. Now, the reason why I sort of brought this up is because everyone talks about, Behringer, they're innovators. They're bringing Eurorack modules so cheap and no one's done it before. Rubbish. These guys have been doing it for ages. And they're not the only ones. We talked about Dreadbox doing the chromatic stuff. And there's a few other people that make Eurorack modules that are very, very well priced. Yeah. I just thought I'd show you guys. Now, I do actually have, I don't have a video, but I do actually have this website that I thought I'd show you, because I was talking before about how many modules there are. It's crazy. Look at this. So I actually had a look at some of these, and just have a look at how many modules there are. This is insane. These guys are busy. So, 2-channel clock works, a burst generator, a resettable divider, a CV8, 2 outputs for some other module, a clock shuffler. Yeah, and it just keeps going. Amplifiers. You can see, and the thing is, I have never ever heard of these guys.
Blimey.
So
more than Deptford.
Yeah, it's insane. So anyway, check them out. Give them a bit of your money. They don't do a video, sorry, and they actually say that they don't do videos. So because they're too busy making modules. I think that's actually pretty good evidence there that they are too busy making modules. But anyway, shall we have a look at one? Let's just pick one random.
What is on those modules there, Ramsey? Did you see any how much they were charging for them?
Yeah, the prices were actually in this article that I read, but well, that says it's out of stock. I don't want to choose something that's out of stock. There we go. Okay, let's go back to this. So this is a little 3-channel stereo mixer, and it is £50. Not bad.
Decent, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's good.
So that's just one example, and you guys can go check it out. I'll put the link up in the description as usual. You guys can check that out. Now, last but not least, that's all right. We are going to.
The jacks look all right on them as well.
Yes, they actually got the nuts to lock them in, which I thought was good. I actually haven't heard. I was going to try and see if I could get someone from one of the, like a Muff Wigglers or Aussie Wigglers or whoever, one of these forums that I'm in, to try and tell me if they've got one and what they're like. And I didn't get a chance because it was kind of busy. But anyway, we shall move on. Now, that is it for news. There was another bit of news. We were going to get Ken on to talk about. He's just messaged me saying that he's not able to make it. But the other bit of news was really, really brief. It was that HydraSynth. No, it's the wrong one. That one there. HydraSynth has now got a new firmware update. What we might do is we might see if we can get Ken to come in maybe next Saturday and run us through it, because he's got one of these, and there's a few people in the chat that have got a HydraSynth. So I definitely think we need to spend some time and give this a bit of love. So if you don't know, it's firmware 1.5, and definitely get yourself the download for that. It's free, I believe. So what we'll do is we'll try and see if we can get Ken. I don't know what his schedule's like next week either, but we'll see what we can do. Never know. Anyway, that's good news. And it's a really big update too. And I don't want to talk any more about it because I don't want to sort of spoil it for the next time we do chat about it. Okay. What have we got next?
There's another bit of news, Rans.
Yeah.
There's one more bit of news which we sort of touched on briefly. Those of us that have got Behringer Pro 1s, Behringer have released a firmware update for the Pro 1, which improves the speed of the envelope. So I always thought the envelopes were pretty snappy anyway, but apparently they're even better. I have not yet successfully managed to install that upgrade, but there are a few videos out there on YouTube from people who have and have done comparisons as to how that now improves the sound of the envelopes. There was a guy called Electric Cafe. He's only got a few subscribers on YouTube at the moment, but he's been doing some really good demos of these bits of gear, and he did a very good comparison of how this firmware update makes the envelopes on the Behringer Pro 1 almost as snappy or just as snappy as the original model, which has got to be a good thing.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, you go.
No, I was just going to say it's a free update, so if you can get your computer to actually do it, which I wasn't able to.
Beautiful. Well, you need the synth tool to do it. So you know
that's why I couldn't get to work.
That's the problem. But you can actually you don't actually need the synth tool either. You can do it as a SysX update, I believe. Anyway, speaking of checking out envelopes and just kind of seeing, you know, how they behave. I've actually got you probably can see it if I go to my shot here. You can see my Siglent oscilloscope with me just here, and just got a little GoPro plugged into it. Now I've got the Roland system. So that's actually the electrical signal of the envelope. You can see it's just starting to finish there. So and you can actually go in and check to see, you know, how logarithmic the curves are and things like that. And that's this envelope generator here, the two. So the purple and the yellow line with the two. So these two purple cables coming out of that going straight into my oscilloscope. So yeah, I could actually probably do that, Andy, with the Pro 1 pre-update and post-update, and we could actually electrically check out how different those, whether they're snappier or whether they're not.
No, that would be interesting. If you
interesting.
can get the update to work, I'll make efforts.
Yes.
If necessary, I'll take the Pro 1 round to somebody who's got a Windows 10 machine, because I think it's to do with the fact that my machine is old. But yeah,
or a Mac. Anyone who's got a Mac.
Yeah, and anyone that's got something that works. I'm coming round on Tuesday, Darren. I'm coming round on Tuesday.
Bit of a drive.
Kettle on.
Bit of a drive. All right.
Yeah, that's 40 minutes.
Let's go to the next segment, because this one is kind of related to our show topic. And I probably might start off with... I don't remember the order of these. All right, let's start off with this one. This one is a bit of a rant. Maybe I should actually play my rant stinger. But yeah, so I was talking to some guys during the week about this. This is my Australian, one of the retailers in Australia selling the Hydrasynth. Now, we were talking about prices. Was it last week? I can't remember now what it was. We were talking about synth prices. And one of the things that annoys me is when you got shops. I think I showed you that photo of the Guitar Center with the Akai Force, and it was like incredibly high. So the thing that annoyed me about this was that so this is Australian dollars, okay? But in Sweetwater in the US, the same synth is, I think, $13.99, somewhere around there. Now, you can do a little bit of a Google. You can, convert US dollars to Australian dollars, and you can, work out the difference. It is nowhere near $26.99. Now, okay, in Australia, we do have a thing called GST, which is a bit like your VAT, Andy. Same thing, except it's not 20%. Ours is only 10%. So if you add 10% onto the Sweetwater price after you've converted it to Australian dollars, it's still nowhere near $26.99. It's about $700-800 Australian cheaper, even if you were to do that. Now, don't forget too, it doesn't have freight, because if you were to buy this from the shop, you have to pay for freight. And just like you would have to pay for freight if you were to buy this from Sweetwater. So there's my first one. Now, when we do our price section, it's not always scams. What do you guys think about that anyway, just out of curiosity? Do you guys have any retailers in the UK that kind of do this sort of price buffering? I know they recently got in trouble for that, didn't they? We talked about the Yamaha, Korg, and Roland got fined by the UK government. I think Yamaha settled out of court, and then they dobbed Korg and Roland in. It was nice of Yamaha, wasn't it?
Well,
name and shame.
Price was in... Sorry, Darren, go on.
No, I was going to say I can't think of any at the moment. A lot of them are like, if you see it cheaper, they'll match it most of the time. So
yeah, yeah. Anyway, well, look, the point is keep an eye on your prices. Don't just take the word of the shop. Definitely not for my case, anyway. The next one is actually another kind of example of this, where it's just more like buyer beware. I love how they spelt Behringer, but they've actually spelt it right the next time. They spelled it Behringer. Is that? I don't know. I don't even know what they're doing there. Anyway, this is from Japan, so it could be a translation thing. But yes, if you are buying a Poly D, how much are Poly Ds? They're not. There's definitely not $1,300, are they?
They're about 600, 599.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
UK pounds.
So is this one new, or is it? No, it's secondhand. So this is not even a new one. So Behringer. I'm on Sweetwater site because I don't usually use Sweetwater. Poly D. There we go. Just to get the US dollars. It is $698 from Sweetwater. Now they are saying
same in pounds.
Same in pounds. They are saying that the MSRP is 104,850. I don't know how they work that out. I think it's probably just an algorithm on their website that bodges that. But anyway, that's a good one. So don't buy that. Andy, was this one yours? Oberheim OB12?
Yes. Oh, yes. Anybody remember those things?
Yeah, I do.
I saw this on Facebook.
They were digital, weren't they?
A week or so ago.
Those things were digital, weren't they? Yeah.
We had one of those in Chillage people. I'd bought the Supernova, and my mate Rupert had bought the OB12, and we sort of swapped and changed a little bit, moving around who was using which keyboard at which time and various things. I never got on with that thing at all. I never liked the sound of it, and in spite of it being covered in buttons and sliders, I could never really quite get it to do what I wanted to. So I didn't have a very good experience with it, and I never thought it sounded very good. It certainly, to my ears, didn't sound anything like what we would expect an Oberheim to sound like. And I just thought the price, 850 quid, was high. I mean, it was.
Oh, it's definitely high.
It was around that when it was new, and I wouldn't have thought you'd be wanting to pay much more than £400 for one of those. I mean, I remember it being solid and heavy.
Yeah.
But I don't remember it being much fun to actually use. So
on a positive,
that's why I just thought.
So on a positive note, they have a really nice keyboard, and you've also got that little ribbon controller thing underneath the two mod wheels there, which is pretty cool. And you can actually use it as a MIDI keyboard as well. But the thing that a lot of people didn't like,
it's not really an Oberheim.
It's not an Oberheim. It was digital. It was really badly
made in Italy by Viscount.
Yeah, it was a really bad digital as well. It wasn't a good digital, so it had bad samples or bad PCMs or whatever you want to call it in there.
It was all analog modelling. It was all analog modelling, and it didn't work. I mean, to my ears, it never sounded anything like as smooth or as convincing as the Supernova, which we had at the same time and side by side. But I mean, it's probably a perfectly usable and decent synth in its own right, if you're happy with the way it sounds. But I thought 850 quid was just too high for that. But people are free to disagree.
Yeah, I think the other thing too is that it was quite a bit after the Oberheim sort of they kind of flopped a bit, didn't they? And then they stopped making those analog gears. Yeah, so it was kind of a bit of a train wreck. All right, let's keep going. What is the next one we have? What was that one? So this is drum machine related.
Yeah, I think that was mine as well, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
So this is another Oberheim, but this is actually a good Oberheim. This one, the DX. Actually, wasn't that Blue Monday? Wasn't Blue Monday?
Blue Monday.
Yeah.
New Orders recordings and some of the Human League stuff, the DX and Dead or Alive and all sorts. Those sounds are on there, but again, £1,400 is a lot of money for what is a really very limited drum machine.
Right.
You'd have to desperately want that, or be an avid collector to be justifying spending £1,400 on a DX. I think so anyway.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Like you say, you've only got like bass, snare, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 possible sounds on it, and you're paying over 1.5, aren't you?
Yeah. There are variations. You can swap out. You can swap out the EEPROMs on the inside. I think there was even a machine which allowed you to burn your own EEPROMs and put them in if you were that desperate. But it's a very, very long-winded way.
Very long-winded process to change the samples in it. But look, the thing is if you really wanted that sound, this is one of those arguments. And
it's
£1,400 may actually be, you might be prepared for it. Now, that's actually the perfect segue, because topically, we are actually talking about this baby this week, aren't we? And there is an actual reverb listing. I don't even know if it was the most expensive. I just need to convert that for you guys. Sorry. To GBP, it's called on Google. £4,489, that is. For a TR-8, yes, 500 Australian dollars or 200. You might as well say it's £300 shipping. They'd probably have to be careful with shipping on something. So I don't know if it's 500 Australian dollars shipping though. I've shipped stuff and it hasn't cost me anywhere near that. So the shipping's probably a bit of a lend as well. Anyway, £4,500 for a TR-808. Now the question I want to ask everyone here, and that is, would you buy a TR-808 if it cost you? Well, let's get it in US, because we do have a few US people as well. So £4,500 or $5,800 Would you buy a TR-808? There's a good question. Let us know in chat. In fact, let's see what they say. Let's see what they say. Azia said no. Michael Elliott saying criminal. Why is it criminal? Is it just sad that that's how much 808s are? What were they originally? What did Roland sell them in US dollars originally?
It was about £900.
It was like 800, about 800, 900 pounds or something, isn't it? Yeah. Ozio is saying he'd gladly use the samples. So this is the thing. This is why you have things like Arturia drum root. You have the Volca, Volca beats. You have samples in your Akai MPCs and your Novation circuits. You have the next thing that I was going to show you guys. I don't know if I've got it here. The RC. Have you guys heard of the RC-808? Bit of a rude word. Sounds like I'm saying something rude. RC-808. No, it's not a rude thing. Okay, so let's have a look at this. Here we are. Yeah, this is a website called what's the website called? rc-808.com. Gee, that was hard to work out, wasn't it, Rans? Oh, you idiot. Anyway, so the guys that built this website they have recreated the 808 into a downloadable standalone or VST type machine that you can use on your computer. And I've had like 5 minutes to play with it, but basically I can tell you a little bit about it. What it does is it emulates the original TR-808 sound with analog manner synthesis. Okay, as the name implies, it is respect to the original 808 sounds with its creation for sound synthesis as a vintage. Starting from its criterion, explore the multiverse of sounds, stretch out your vectors, and find new criterion of your own. So you can kind of modify the original 808 sounds. So it's not a drum machine, but it is a drum synthesizer. So this actually might be something you guys might find interesting. It works on Mac and Windows. There is no samples, nor effects, processing, nothing. It's just genuine synthesis only, and it's all in an analog manner. It's obviously digital because it's a computer program. So the sound source employs a DCO, which is not a digital controlled oscillator. It's actually a down chirp oscillator. There you go. I've never ever heard of that acronym before. Down chirp oscillator. And just so you guys know, if you're not following my Australian accent, that's how it's spelled. Down chirp oscillator, combined with noise source that outputs various kinds of noises, including metallic noises. And there's also an infinite point wave shaper for variable filter banks, infinite point envelope generators with a maximum of 8 partials per voice. So this thing's pretty deep, and you can get yourself into subtractive synthesis and go kind of crazy. Now, they are saying it's a flexible architecture, so it does have open and close variations, things on hi-hats and cymbals for choke performance. You've got piano roll sequencer in there. The sequencer's a separate app. But we can actually have a look at a little video if you guys want to. I don't know how good the video is going to be. Let's load it up. So we'll have a look at the vintage kit. Right, let's just grab this. Sorry, I actually do have to copy this link in and create a... Just give me 1 sec, guys. Give me 1 sec. I actually wasn't really going to show you guys this, but I think it's worth it because it is 808 day. All right, here we go. Let's check out the video.
Well.
So there's a bit of a video on that. Now this is created by these guys, and why I'm showing you is because it actually came out of the Roland article. These guys are called the Analog Mafia. From left to right, you've got Junichi Kadoya. I'm gonna butcher these names.
You're brave, Rans.
Apologize in advance. Hisanori Matsuakawa. Anyway, a whole bunch of cool guys, and obviously there is the original TR-808 guy in there. Cool. The Mr. Kikamoto, he's actually in there. So that might be why that might be worth you guys checking out, because you've got the original 808 engineer involved in that project. Anyway, what did you guys think of that? That's pretty cool, isn't it?
Yeah, I quite like that, actually.
So you don't have to go and buy a 8,000 Australian dollars or whatever it was, 6,000 US dollar TR-808 vintage machine. I didn't keep an eye on the chat to see what these guys were saying. But,
can I just mention at this point then, seeing as you've mentioned software recreation, I'd like to mention something that Inky mentioned ages ago in the chat, and that's Rebirth. Propellerhead's Rebirth.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, decades and decades ago.
Yeah.
And what a great piece of
808.
software that was. What a great piece of software that was. And it just sounded...
It just
sounded good.
Hours of time on that.
Yeah, it did sound good, didn't it?
808 and 2303s, and it just sounded fantastic. I mean, can you make it work now as a VST plugin, so you can make it work within Cubase, another digital audio workstation?
All right, so maybe we should go to this, because Wagoo's made a point that I was actually going to make anyway, and that is that the main thing about the RC808 website and the software is it's actually the original Roland engineers who designed it, which I mentioned before. But what's cool about it is they got to do with this software what they could never actually do with the hardware originally back in the 80s, because technology wasn't there. They had the idea, but they didn't have the technology to do it. So that might actually be enough to wet your whistle to go and check that out.
That makes it worthy. That actually makes it more worthy than perhaps just the program might have originally seemed. If you've got the original 808 designer who's putting his half penneth into making this software into what he wanted the machine to be in the first place, actually that makes it even more interesting.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you pointed that out, Rans. Thank you for doing so.
And don't forget, I also mentioned that it's a VST or a standalone. So you could actually run this on like a Microsoft Surface. You could run it on a any DAW if you've got Logic, or if you've got Pro Tools or Ableton Live or Cubase. It will work on all of those, Mac and Windows as well. So these guys have gone out there and done it. It's been around for a while, I believe, too. So it's had a few
Is there a price
updates.
on it?
It's free. Completely free.
Oh, well, that's a no-brainer then, isn't it?
Yeah. I didn't.
Can you stick a link in the description at the end, Rans?
Yep.
The show notes.
I will.
They might sort of get
definitely do that. But whilst we've got the show running, I can just do this. You guys can check it out there.
I'll tell you something else that's been around for a long time. I'm not saying it's a drum machine, and I think up until now they're still making them, or at least they was. I'm not saying they're brilliant, but they seem to have been around a long, long time, and they seem to be still on the shelf.
I know what you're going to say, Darren. Yep.
Yeah.
I've seen that before.
Yep.
Yes.
I knew that was coming. But it's true, you can still buy them new, and they were released in about 1992, was it came out, or even earlier perhaps. They've been around a long, long time, those machines.
Yeah, they've been around for a while. That isn't the predecessor of that one. Is it the HS 16? Or
HR
16.
There was a HR 16.
Famously used
Espen
by Depeche
Kraft's
Mode.
just done a video on it.
There's a famous
Espen Kraft
sound.
did a video on him.
So everyone, if you ever ask anyone who likes Depeche Mode, they will say the Violator was one of the best albums, blah blah blah. Because basically it was like emulator and samples galore and that, and they used one of those Alesis drum machines in there, which was cool.
But like I say, I mean, you could say that's become a classic. I mean, I can't believe that they still actually can still get them. Whereas like the Roland 808, I mean, that came out for a few years and then it's pretty much
what was that?
disappeared. And it
was a flop in terms of sales. If you ever read any article that Roland ever put out, it was taken off the shelves because it didn't sell. And it's actually quite like, if you think about it, Roland do this all the time. So we were talking about the IRA Eurorack modules before, which I've got the Scooper one here. They were only on the shelves for 2 years at the most. That's a very short period for them to be out. They didn't even get a chance to probably get them in stores long enough. They just literally pulled those off. Maybe they weren't making money. Maybe they were too expensive to make. I don't know. But they do. Roland do this.
So,
that's what they do.
So why is that SR16 still, still available?
Well, the thing with the SR16 is you can just get the samples. I mean, you don't really need the machine because it's all samples anyway. But it is the thing, isn't it? It's about using that little box. It's that,
It was cheap. It was easy to use, and it sounded good.
Yep.
And I think that's it, really.
Yeah. Well, speaking about
about that
being it, Darren, before you talk anymore, we are going to snap off the main show, and don't go anywhere because we've got the post show coming up. And I'm not talking about Postman Pat being on it or anything like that. End titles. Let's say goodbye to everyone who's watching this on replay, but don't go anywhere if you're watching this live because we'll be right back.
It's gone quick.
Could you've just missed some. We are back.
Thank you, everyone, for patiently waiting for that to stop. Beautiful.
Right.
Oh, Wagoo, you're a lovely man. Wagoo's just given us a, what do you call it, super chat. Thank you very much. £5 from Wagoo. Can I show that? Does that? Yeah, it works. Look at that. Beautiful. Well done, Wagoo.
Yeah.
Good on you, mate. That'll go into the coffee fund. I need plenty of it after the show. Yeah, hope it splits it 3 ways. Yes, we'll work something out, boys. It'll go into the Someone said, oh yeah, that's right. We're still looking for the Demora. If anyone has a Demora, which is the Roland IRA Euro Rack modules, let us know, because Wagoo's after one if you want to sell it. I actually know
Robin Vincent's got one.
No, a guy in Australia that's got one. Robin Vincent's got one. Yeah, well, he's not on here though, is he? So can hook him up though.
We can hook him up.
Michael Elliott's saying that he used to own a Korg Triple D1, perfect for 90s industrial. I actually don't think I've ever seen that. I'm going to go check that out while you guys.
It's a great big thing. Loads of square pads. I think you could even load your own samples into it. And
oh, that thing, right?
Yeah,
and it's kind of got the. We were talking about this. What was that synth we were talking about last week? Which is kind of. It's had this. It's got a similar sort of design as the Poly 800.
The DSA, the DW8000, Poly 61.
Poly 61. That's right. Inverted Popes had it. Yeah.
It's from that same period. It's a bit later than the Poly 61. They're called DDD1.
Yeah.
They had a DDM10 and a DDM20, which were bloody awful machines actually. But that DD1 was the triple D1 was.
There it is.
That's it. Yeah, was actually quite a thumping beastie.
I've never actually
seen one of those. I mentioned him a moment or two ago. Well, again, Espen Kraft did a video on that fairly recently, and he's just uploaded a video on the Elasis HR16 and Darren, if you're interested, the MMT8 sequencer. So and he's quite enthusiastic. I know you have. He's quite. That's just you and you're doing your orbital tributes, isn't it? That's it. The good boxes. I mean, really good boxes. So interesting videos he put up. I can't believe we got through all the 808 stuff and we didn't actually get around to talking about the obvious sort of thorn in the side of the Behringer.
Well,
which I think it's got to be mentioned really, because it's out there and it's available for not a lot of money, and it does the. But the question is it for you or is it not?
We actually haven't really finished talking about the 808 anyway, but because there was a few other topics I wanted to talk about, and I mentioned them right at the start in the pre-show. So there's we can talk about the 808 or RD8, it's called, the Behringer one. The other thing I want to talk about is looking around your studio. Tell us what you've got that's been influenced by the 808. Like, just literally start to let it sink, because it's influenced all of us. But before we do that, I thought I'd just highlight a comment that was mentioned there by Sergio, which he said that he read somewhere about those Roland IRA modules, that they couldn't keep up the component supplies because the actual sliders or the pots on them were very high resolution and they were quite expensive to make. So interesting. There you go. It could have been a cost thing. I did have a feeling it was cost, but I wasn't sure. Can
I just say?
Yes.
The reason why I popped this up.
Yes.
The reason why I popped this up is because I was saying, have you ever heard of it? You know, why they're selling so much, and have you ever heard of it? It's because the track that I'm putting out tomorrow will contain this in it. So that's for you all to try and spot. And it's 174 beats per minute.
Wow, that's pretty fast.
The sounds from this. The sounds from this in the track tomorrow, it's 174 beats per minute. It has acid in it. It has my vocals in it, and it also has a sort of a dub sound as well, all blended with sounds from this.
Wow.
That's tomorrow.
Is it full on happy hardcore? Are you going proper bass, Darren, at that sort of speed?
No, it's you'll have to listen to it tomorrow. It's more sort of drum and bass, but it's not, because the vibe of the track feels slower than it actually is. So it's got it all in there. Acid, SR16, my vocals. I'm working with MMCR tomorrow, so you'll see it anyway.
All right, so good little plug there from Darren, but I actually do want to bring this up because not just because of what Andy said, but because it's definitely worth mentioning, and that is the Behringer RD8. Now, just give me a sec. I'm just putting this graphic in so we can look at it. There. Okay, so this is the Behringer RD8. If you can't remember what it looks like, there it is there. And what I'm going to do is I am going to go to the Roland TR-8. Isn't that cool how you can do that? In fact, we can even do this. Whoa, look at that magic technology there. So they're quite different, but at the same time, they're quite similar. So if you look at it, they've got accent on the left, bass drum, yep, that's the same. Snare drum's next, yep. Low conga, low tom is the same. So I'm just showing you guys the TR-808. So, and I'm looking at the RD8 next to it. So I'm just letting you know. And I'll put it across in a sec. So the high conga is the same. Then you've got the high tom, yep. Then you've got claves, yep. Rim shot, yep. Maracas and hand clap, yep. Cowbell, yep. Sim, yep. Open hat, yep. Closed hat, yep. So look at that. So each one of those columns are exactly the same as the TR-808. Obviously, the sequence is going to be slightly different, the way it behaves, and it's got some more bells and whistles in it. So yeah. But anyway, for what did they say it was? Someone in chat mentioned Canadian dollars, 500 and something Canadian dollars. Sweetwater selling it for $398 US.
Yeah.
And someone can look
There's
up
one thing that the
Gear for Music or whatever it is price. Or
so there's one thing that the RD8 has immediately that the original TR-808 doesn't have, and that is tuning of the bass drum. The original TR-808 doesn't have a tuning control for the bass drum. It's got tone and decay, but no tuning. Whereas the Behringer does. It's just to the left in the accent box if you look.
Yeah. Now
I think that's quite a big improvement actually. You have to have the 808 modded to get that put on it.
One of the things that I think that it should have had was, I reckon it should have had a bit more of a digital, not sound. I wanted it all to be analog, but the actual control panel needed to be more digital so that you could actually use MIDI and things like that to access some of the sounds. And that was actually one of the problems I have with the drum brute as well. Same issue is that you literally can't store patches. If you start adjusting things like the tuning and, all that sort of stuff, it's literally knob position and that's literally the only way it sort of sits. And the other thing too is one of the things that I love about the TR-8 is that whole thing can be played via MIDI, which means that I can actually... Oh, it's all right, just headphones. I can actually adjust the whole thing via MIDI because it's digital as well. But it doesn't need to be a digital sound engine to have those features. The Behringer could have had that in there because it's just the user interface. There's so many examples of synthesizers and drum machines that are analog that have digital interfaces. An
RD8 Plus.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. And like one of the things that you can do with this that I absolutely love is that you can actually pitch play things like the toms or the bass drum. So you can actually play it like a proper chromatic sound. And acts like that. Anyway, no, don't worry, it was just headphones that fell down. And they were just DJ headphones, so it doesn't matter. Because nobody likes DJs. Just kidding. Okay. €329 for an RD8 in Thomann. Okay, cool. And Gear for Music, anyone looked it up? Gear for Music? So €398, $398. US dollars and euros are always about the same, aren't they? I find. It's always pretty similar. Anyway, They
were around the 299, 289 mark in pounds last time I looked for the RD8.
Okay. That's not bad. All right. Now, the other thing we're going to look at is looking around your studio. What do you see that's influenced by the 808? And did anyone... Michael Elliott mentioned the drum brood, which we already mentioned. Anyone else say anything? No? I think they haven't got to that bit yet. I'll just remind them. So look around your studio and let us know what you've got in your studio. And don't forget to highlight my name. Put, Ramsey. It'll sing out to me. GAK is £299. Yeah, okay. Just out of curiosity, have these places got stock? Because do you remember when Behringer brought this machine out? No one had stock. That's what Behringer do. The lead up time to their products versus the actual time when you can actually physically get your hands on one is insane. How slow and drawn out it is. It's almost getting unbearable if you want my opinion. It's Andy. Is that your fan? Is it? Yeah, it's Andy's fan.
That's my computer. I've opened another web page and now it's not happy.
It's got. Oh no!
Gear for
not
music.
two things at once.
Yeah, not two things at once. Cool, blimey. Gear for Music here in the UK say you can get it by the 10th of August and they've got 13 in stock.
Okay, so
Right, I'll switch that off now and the computer can start.
What was the price again?
Hopefully.
What was the price again?
228. I've got to open it up again now, you bugger.
You didn't say the price. It's not my fault.
Sorry, I was looking at the availability.
So if you're buying one in Australia, it's 569 Australian dollars. Let me just work this out because I might be discovering another one of these scams again.
299.
No, that's about right.
Gear for Music. Yeah, 299, which means that someone will be
Are they
£10
available,
cheaper. And yeah, they said they've got 13 in stock.
So there's one in Australia right now. Sweetwater have got them. Gear for Music have got them. Toman have got them. There you go. So
the question is, Rand.
Yep.
Would you buy one over your TR-8 that you've got now?
Nah.
So
because I've got the drum brute, I've got the TR-8, I've got other drum machines. I'm fat and happy. Yeah, I'm good.
And I don't think I would. I don't think I would either. I think I'd be looking for a second-hand TR-8. Definitely, I think that's a much more sensible approach.
Sasquatch has made a really, really good point, and I forgot to actually mention this. The JDXi. So if you've got a Roland JDXi, it's right down the bottom. You'll see this little bubble down there. If you've got a Roland JDXi, they've got a load of Roland drum kits, including the 808 and the 909, and they are not PCM samples. They're actually, I don't know if they're proper ACB, but they're like the new Roland sort of engine stuff that's in there. They're actually really, really good. In fact, I've played my JDXi and I've played my TR-8 next to each other, and I can't tell the difference. So they could be ACB. I don't know. Someone might want to correct me if I'm right or wrong on there, but that's definitely worth checking out. What else we got? Michael Elliott saying he's still got a TR-505. Let me see that, if that counts, yeah. Is a TR-505 influenced, though, by a TR-808? I thought the TR-505 came before it. What else? Sasquatch's TR-606, 626, 707, 727, CR-78. Okay, TR-808 and TR-909. Wow. Okay, so the 78 is the drum machine that the 808 was modeled on. So basically, if you read that Roland article that came out yesterday afternoon or this morning, whatever it came out, they talk about how the TR-808 was made and what influenced it and why they chose certain things. And one of the things they said was the CR-78 was the machine that they modeled it on. So if you do have a CR-78, you've got basically the dad of the TR-808, which is cool. Cool to know. Yeah. And I think that's probably about it for so. Anyone else want to have a little look around their studio and come up with something that we haven't mentioned yet? that is 808 influenced. I think that would be interesting. See if you can come up with something. Yeah. As you had mentioned, that Reverb has a nice free sample pack. Yeah. Get yourself an old MPC. There's plenty of 808 samples in there. You could probably just even find them on websites for free now. I don't even know if it'd even be breaching copyright, would it? Because they're so old. Some of the original MPCs. Okay. Am I still? Yeah, I'm still streaming. It's just quiet. Andy's gone quiet. You still there, Andy? Andy's muted. That's why.
Oh yeah.
Sorry, I'm muted myself. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now. Yeah.
The whining's gone down a bit. The whining's not quite as high pitched and intrusive as it was a minute ago. I was going to say the 808 came first, then the 909, and that was then followed by the 706, which was digital. So the 707 had a very similar sort of programming approach to the 808. It had those sort of like those note lanes and things that you can see, but you could also program it in real time too. The 505 was a cut down version. Then they released the 626, which was like an upgraded version of 505. It had the 505 and the digital samples and Latin percussion samples in it. The 626 was actually quite a decent drum machine in its own right. It never took off, but it was quite a good drum machine. It didn't have 808 sounds in it. It was almost as though Roland had sort of ditched it and said, right, that's the end of that. Because these digital drum machines had come out just before the sort of house and techno sort of revolution, which sort of like immortalised the sounds of the 808 and the 909. You know, suddenly it was that musical genre which made those sounds desirable again. People weren't interested in them. Nobody wanted the 808 sounds. Everyone thought they were just rubbish because they didn't sound realistic. But you get a 505 and the drum sounds are just nice, fairly crisp samples. Actually, after using them for a while, they're pretty boring. They've got no life to them at all. You can tune them up and down, but that's about your limit. And they were pretty dull. And it had the 707s. It had MIDI. It synced up. You could set it to MIDI channel 9 and play all the notes across the key, all the drums across the key. It was a nice little drum expander. It was quite a handy little drum machine. The 505 and the 626. I owned a 626. Yeah, I owned the 626. Had individual outputs for all the drums. It was an upgraded version. It was a better drum machine. Well, they were definitely. I
had a 626. Yeah,
they were definitely in the spirit.
Yep.
Definitely in the spirit of the Roland drum machines. They share a lineage. I think Roland were deliberately trying to move away and get into the modern age, and then after that they got into the whole R series of drum machines. If anyone remembers the R8 and the R8M modules, they were fantastic drum machines, and they did have 808 samples in, and 909 samples if you bought the card.
Yeah.
So at that point they were realizing, oh, people want these sounds, we better include them because other people are including them in their packs, so we better have them in ours. So
yeah.
I mean, who releases drum sounds and drum packs without putting 808 and 909 sounds in them these days? It would seem like an omission if you didn't put them in, because people want them. Even the Electribes here to my, to my right, they've got all the different 808 and 909 samples in there of the bass drum, snares, hi-hats. So does that mean that these machines are influenced? Well, they've been influenced enough to include the sounds in their sound pack, so you'd have to say yes.
Sorry, making noise here because I wanted to bring this up. Sorry, 1 second. Ready, set, go.
Oh, but depends what it's going to show us. Oh, yeah. Yes. Oh, you've got one. I've got one.
So, I think, who was it? Asia Head, I think, mentioned this. Yours? So this is actually obviously all digital. It's not their first groove box. I think the 202 was their first groove box. But this has got 808 sounds in it, and Ozio had correctly said that they sound really flat, and they do. They're not very good, but yeah. Anyway, Darren, what are you asking me? How long have I had this for? Not long. Probably
I
about.
said, have you froze yours?
Never frozen it. Nah. I thought I'd shown this before on the stream. I got this probably right at the start of the year from a pawnbroker. Called Cash. You guys have got cash converters in the UK. Yeah. So
yeah. Well, we did have. I don't know if we still have.
Those companies would be hurting, wouldn't they? They would be hurting.
Yeah.
COVID hurt. No one really cares though. Sorry if you're a cash converters employee or ex-employee. That's not a very nice thing to say. I've just put my foot in it.
It's been gone from Sheffield for a long time now, cash converters. Shame, because it was a great shop. I loved it.
Yeah, I used to go in there and, I mean, obviously I used to look for synth stuff, but very rarely. I was whinging about it last year that you'd never get anything good in there. And then lo and behold, I picked up the 303. So you do. It's just like a very slow, patient thing. You have to be going in there quite a bit too, which I didn't do. But yeah, there was a stage where I was going in there because I was looking for a tape deck. I was actually specifically looking for a Technics 80s tape deck, and found one.
I never found anything decent. Never.
I did.
Never managed to get anything good.
I did find one. All I had to do was go. There's a suburb in my city which has got a lot of English expats living in it. So I knew that obviously those guys, when they move across from England to Australia, they bring a massive shipping container full of all their stuff, and all of their stuff would have been bought over in England back in the day from the 80s, and it ends up all in those pawn shops when they can't pay their phone bill. So you get some pretty cool stuff. You just got to know, when to get it. But yeah, I got myself because I used to work in a hi-fi store many years ago. One of my sort of early jobs I had, and I used to sell Technics stereo systems, and I just kind of had this thing where I got a little bit romantic about my early life, and I just wanted to get my hands on one again. And the big disappointment was that I got the original CD player, the single CD player, but it doesn't play hardly any CDs, because what we don't realize is CDs have gone through an iteration of different formats, and especially nowadays where a lot of CDs are actually burnt on a computer, you can't play a burnt CD on the CD player at all. You could probably, rebuild the whole laser servo mechanism in it, but that would just be destroying its originality. So there's only probably about 25% of the CDs that I've got here that I can actually play on that Technics, which it's kind of cool, because you think it's only playing like the original CDs that first came out. It's kind of cool. So there you go. Pawnbroker, not the P-O word, the P-A-W-N word. Pawn. Sounds the same, but it's not the same. But yeah, if you're looking at one of those, it might be Amsterdam, maybe.
Maybe
I don't know what we're going to go with. Andy, Amsterdam? I don't know.
Not a place I would choose to rush to.
I wouldn't be calling them pawnbrokers. I'd probably call them marriage brokers. Right. CD player that refuses to play crap music. Exactly, over your head. Exactly, mate. You got it. Do you remember the CDs when they first started bringing them out? They had the three letters A. They had an A or a D, so it meant you had sort of recording, mastering, and remastering, or something. I think they were the stepping. So you had AAD, ADD, and DDD. I think were the three. It always had to have D on the end, because obviously a CD is digital. So it would be very rare if you had a triple A CD, because it probably wouldn't work. But I remember thinking one day I got myself a CD and it was triple D, and I thought, oh, this is going to be brilliant. It's all digital, thinking that it was like something amazing. But yeah, it was probably just
Brothers in Arms, was it?
probably just as crap. No, I don't think that was Triple D, was it? I don't think so.
Well, it sounded shit enough to be. Oh, sorry.
You and your Mark,
Sorry.
you love Mark. You and your Mark love affair. Hi to Mark, by the way, if you're watching. Keep doing those folk albums. They're fantastic. Not. That's what he does these days. He does these kind of weird folk albums. They're just not good. Not good.
Yeah.
I think that the first album they brought out was good, and then it kind of went downhill from there, didn't it?
I just refuse point blank even to pay any notice. So
They don't have many synths in it. That's probably what the problem is.
Whoa, don't get me started. I mean, honestly, I can't believe it. I mean, do you remember the video for Walk of Life? I mean, seriously,
that's a horrible song.
And absolutely, and the keyboard guy, he's got all of these keyboards. I mean, mega lovely keyboards. And he turns, right, now this isn't just me having a DX7 run.
Yeah, I know what you're going to say.
To a DX7 and goes, and it goes, nah, 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 nah. And I just thought, I could punch him. It just, I mean,
But you started off quick, put your ramp thing up.
Oh, right, get your rant. Here we go. Yeah. Andy's rant. Oh. Dire bleeding rear. It does my head in.
Dire bleeding rear.
I'll say no more.
Oh, we've got to find the rant video. Where's the rant video gone?
I know, I thought he was going to grab the mic and start strangling it then.
Yeah, here we go. That was good. I love the rants. I had my rant earlier anyway about the bloody synth prices.
Yeah.
You know,
I could have had a rant about
cheeky girls.
litter.
About what?
Oh, well, yeah. Agreed. It's
About
just
litter.
terrible at the moment.
Won't go there.
Oh.
Litter. Why do things become heavy when they're empty? People can take them with them when they're full, and then they seem to just go when it's empty. It must become heavy or something when they've finished it.
I don't understand why people do that. Yeah.
No. Well, the society here in this country is absolutely. It just makes my blood boil. I would introduce public flogging for anybody that was caught littering. I think it's so shameful. Drag them to the streets with a big sign over their head saying "litter loud." Tie them to a post in the town square and flog them. They'd soon think twice about chucking the McDonald's cartons on the floor again. Oh, right! I feel so much better now. We've badmouthed Dire Straits and reintroduced public flogging. Brilliant.
You guys are crazy.
I need to go.
This is the after show rant show.
This is the rant show. I didn't get to play my Tell Him He's Dreaming bit, but I didn't think it was relevant this week. I have my normal sort of standard videos.
You'll get a copyright sting if you keep playing that, though.
I know. Yeah, someone asked me the other day. They said, "Where's that video from?" And I was like, "Don't want to say." Darren,
it's from Australia.
Right, Andy. Yeah, I was going to say because we've had I had quite a few questions earlier on about the vinyl. Do you recognise any? We'll go through it.
Don't know the bump. The green one is that an FFRR? It looks like it, but I don't know what it is.
That's a dead good record. That's Digital Orgasm, Running Out of Time.
Oh yes, yeah. Obviously LFO at the bottom.
Machine.
Yeah.
With used an 808.
LFO frequencies.
Not necessarily on that track. But
is it just that? Is that LFO? Yeah.
Yeah, that's LFO. Yeah, the first one. Little Louis French
Prana
Kiss.
underneath that.
Praga Khan, remember? Injected with a poison.
Yeah.
Little Louis French
I'm
Kiss
laughing at the chat.
808.
Sorry.
And Urban Shakedown.
I'm not sure about that one.
Sorry, I should mute myself.
Oh, you must remember Urban Shakedown.
Probably.
Well, I think it's a good opportunity, guys. I think it's a good opportunity because you've mentioned a few records there that are obviously influenced by the 808, and I think that was the next thing. I didn't want to drown out the main show with our favorite artists with the 808, but I think it's a good time now. Tell us what your favorite 808 if it's fully got 808 in it. Tell us what your favorite one is. Now, I actually don't know if this, I'm going to start off, I don't know if this is actually an 808, so I could actually be completely wrong and sound like an absolute fool, but that's all right because I sound like a fool every day anyway, so I'm kind of okay with it. And that was, so I probably wouldn't say this is my favorite, but I'd say it's definitely a really big sounding 808 album, if I'm right, and that was Beastie Boys' License to Ill. Would I be correct, guys? That had an 808 in it?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. There's some bit, I don't know if they're all tracks did, but yeah, some bit. LL Cool J as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of the hip hop lot were using them. I mean, I think one of the first notable uses of the 808 was Marvin Gaye, Sexual Healing. That's obviously a very famous use of the 808. I mean, I'll pick this one up and we'll just go. Yeah, 808 quadrastate. Covered.
I've got that one.
Covered in 808.
Yep.
Absolutely covered in 808, and it's brilliant. I mean, I'd actually like to mention one very notably rubbish 808. And oddly enough, it's from one of my all-time favourite bands. I'm a massive Tangerine Dream fan, but I loved Tangerine Dream from about 1970 to about 1980, and then when it goes beyond 1980, it all goes a little bit pear-shaped. Well, they released an album.
Well, that was when Klaus left them, wasn't it?
Oh no, Klaus only was with them for one album. Klaus Schulze was only with them for one album.
Okay.
When Peter Baumann left, it started to go a little bit ropey, but then it was in the 1980s when digital synthesizers and sort of programming, patch memories. But they released an album. It was a live album from the Dominion Theatre in London called Logos, and it's got the most boring 808 pattern on it. It just goes boom, chack, boom, chack for forever.
Sounds like one of my tracks.
The synth sounds over the top are really nice, but the drums were uninspired, really, really bad. But yeah, it's a shame because you think about how they could easily have put something a bit more interesting into it, but nah, they didn't. It just went boom, chack.
They've probably just got the same problem I have, and they absolutely just can't stand programming drum machines. I mean, I just find it just tedious. I don't know. I just don't see the fun in it. I much prefer to sort of twiddle knobs on an analog synth than programming a drum machine. I don't know. That's just me. I do love the sound of some though. So, you know, I've just never been a good drum machine programming / track drum guy. I need to get someone else to do it for me.
Finn Corrigan has just put up Talking Heads use it on Psycho Killer. I'm going to go to Finn Corrigan and say...
But that's the only version of that is the...
CR78.
That's the CR78, and it was only the live version.
CR78, and it's
so
on Stop Making Sense
so he rocks,
the studio version.
Yeah, correct. And he rocks up on stage with...
a big suit and a guitar.
He rocks up on stage with a big suit and a guitar, but the actual CR78 isn't on stage. It's actually an old ghetto blaster that he pops on and he presses play on the tape, which is a recording of the CR78. Great track.
We're gonna take issue with you, Finn, on Psycho Killer for the TR-808 because I'll say it's a CR78.
Well, it's the dad of the 808. It's the dad of the 808.
Yeah, we'll go there. But anyway, thanks for mentioning Talking Heads because that's another all-time favourite of mine. Absolutely love Talking Heads.
Yeah, same here.
Absolutely love Talking Heads.
Oh dear. Oh, Andy. Andy.
What have I done?
That could be one of those big remixes that's going to be coming out at some point.
Talking Heads.
No, what
I said.
Are you being naughty?
I'm being very naughty.
Because you mentioned obvious bass lines of the 1980s, didn't you? Oh, right. You've just given it away now. Yeah, it doesn't take a genius to piece that one together.
Yeah, well, you'll have to wait for that. But yeah, that's it's looking good. It's very. I'm trying to keep it within. Not saying too much now. In fact, we'll leave it there because it's going to be a while before it's out. So.
You see, I was actually when you said it, I thought it was in Blue Monday. I thought Blue Monday was the most obvious bass line of the 1980s, but now that you've said that, I know where you're going.
Yes. I won't say it's the most obvious, but
that's a brave
it's an
question.
obvious bass line to that track.
No, that is a brave question to ask. What is the most obvious bass line of the 80s? Because you could just go like down a rabbit hole with that. That's a very brave question to ask.
I mean, okay, so it's a topic, isn't it? Best bass lines. Stranglers, Peaches. I love it. Boom, boom, boom. Boom, 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 boom.
What about Simple Minds' Love Song?
Brilliant.
What about Simple Minds' Love Song?
Boom, boom, boom.
That's
Waterfall.
I mean, that's just goes through the whole song. It's brilliant.
Yeah. Well, we're not allowed to sing the one that Darren's just sort of hinted at because that would give the game away,
No.
wouldn't it? So
no, we won't.
Yes, like I say, that's. I'm working on a video for that as well. It's going to be big. So
yeah, Inky, you're really good at making drums, though. That's why I like your stuff, because you're actually. I get jealous because you're so good at it, and I'm so crap at it.
She is. Yeah.
She's really good at drum programming. I should, Inky, I should actually just employ you to do my drums for me, because I reckon that you'd actually make some of my tracks sound a lot better than what they do. Ah, dear. Another one, Bites of Dust. Yeah, see, boom, boom,
Of
boom,
course.
boom, 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 boom. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, that's just a variation on Chic, isn't it? That's just the.
Is Vienna 808? I don't know if it is. I don't think Vienna is 808. I've got a feeling someone asked me that a few years ago, and I think it's something else. Someone else will.
No, I don't think.
I don't think it's 808.
Vienna, I don't think it's got an 808 on it.
I think it predates it. I think it predates it, doesn't it?
I think
it might be a CR-78
or 79.
It could be a Mini Pops or a CR-78 or something like that.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
Vienna Ultravox 808.
I don't know if it was Lynn, because Lynn.
I think it predates.
I don't think it was Lynn. I think Lynn is samples, isn't it? So I don't think it's Lynn.
I think you're right about the predecessors, the CR-78.
I think it might be. The CR-78's in a lot of music. It's in but people rave about the 808 being, really influential. Well, the CR-78 is in a stack of music.
I've been a big Ultravox fan, and I don't remember them ever mentioning 808s in terms of drum machines. I really don't.
Look at Blondie, Heart of Glass. Is it Heart of Glass? Which is that famous Blondie song that's got the CR-78 in it? So Heart of Glass? I think it is. And whatever that Blondie song is, there's a famous Blondie song that's got a CR-78 in it. And it's also got a Jupiter 8 in it too.
Phil Collins in the Air Tonight, that's CR-78 as well.
Yes, that's a great one. I love that song. Vienna was CR-78. There you go. I had a feeling. I have to trust my memory a bit more. It has been brain cell damage, though. Just like a lot of us here. Oh dear. Inky does.
Well. Yeah, Lindrum.
Inky does a lot of circuit programming as well. Asia Head. So it's not just MPC. She does circuits. A lot of the drums are in the circuit as well, and she also uses the Akai Force as well, which is the same as the MPC, really.
Everyone should go and check out Inky's mix that she did at her live set. It is brilliant. It really is brilliant. I mean, I know she'll want to go and hide in a cupboard for me saying this, but it really is fantastic, and it builds up so much. And it's so intense. It's absolutely fantastic. Everybody just go and listen to Inky's live set. It's amazing.
Yeah. Absolutely. Now, we should. I was just going to say, I think Inky's coming on next. Andy, you're not going to be on next week, are you? So I think Inky might be.
I'm away next weekend.
Yeah, so I think Inky might actually be on next week. I don't know if she's confirmed that with me or not, but anyway. So it'll probably be Ken, if he can make it. He hasn't actually confirmed with me. So he's going to talk about the Hydra synth, and Inky. We can probably get Inky to talk about her drum programming. I reckon that'd be good.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Because I don't want to do a whole show on the Hydra synth, because that might get a little bit worn out. But yeah, I reckon people would be interested in it because she's clever. So share your knowledge. What's on your list, Darren? Oh,
no, I'm on Inky's list, but she was supposed to be sending me some drums so I can work and make a track out of. She says I'm on my on a list.
She's been too busy celebrating. She's been too busy celebrating, mate. Yes, Yellow Magic Orchestra Firecracker, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, that is a brilliant. That is well done, Michael. That is. Forgot about that.
Yeah, good suggestion.
Yeah, yeah. I know. JX3D. I know it would be, but there are people that like watch the show that don't have a HydroSense, so we've got to, and there's people that definitely would be interested in Inky's knowledge. So I think we can do both. I think there's enough time in the show to do both because we usually do about 2 hours. So yeah. But anyway, how did we go this week with the 808? What did I miss out? I'm not sure there's a billion things that I've missed out. Are you disappointed that I didn't have a TR-808 to show you? Sorry. Were you expecting me to like punch out 808 sounds on the show? I mean, really,
one of the things that's worth mentioning though, in the whole thing is that when you actually hear a raw TR-808, it doesn't immediately sound like you think it's going to sound.
No.
It doesn't have the sort of immediate punch and low end that we associate with all of those dance tunes and things, but because they've all been processed, like you mentioned about the drum brute requiring processing and all of that. The TR-8 needed the compression on everything and EQing and like a lot of them had a mod done to them to affect the pitch of the bass drum, so that the bass drum could be tuned. Really, really important. So TR-808s out of the box don't necessarily sound as powerful as we might think they do.
And I think I mentioned that a few weeks ago on the show, and everyone just about threw their synth at the screen, where I said the actual TR-808 sounds a bit like crap when you just play it raw. So it's not really does it sound like crap, but that's exactly the point I'm making. What Andy just said is you've got to process it. The 303 is even worse. So imagine the 303 without a distortion. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Everything. It's like the SR16 that I'm using in the chat tomorrow. That's been processed as well. So
yeah,
if you just play the 808 TB303, 909, that S16,
the 808
if you don't
kick,
do anything with them, they are going to sound pretty.
The 808 kick with compression done right, and a bit like Andy said, a bit of EQ. That's when you'll get the sweet spot. But that's what I'm saying. At the back, it doesn't have that. It's a bit wild. If you actually look at the spectrum analyzer on the 808 kick, it's like scattered all through a whole bunch of frequencies, and it's quite wild. Yeah. And what it does is it muddies up your track. And a lot of the the sound engineers of the 80s, they used to hate having to sort of they actually had to leave like a lane on their mixer console just for the 808 kick, because once you got it right, you never wanted to touch it again. Those old analog consoles. So yeah,
that makes me think of the video. I think I sent you a link for it, Ramsey, if you didn't actually see it. The Christian Henson of Spitfire Audio did a video on why are synths so difficult to mix, and it was a really, really informative video. It was really educational about the fact that synth sounds actually cover a real wide frequency, and it's not just about taking out the bass or taking out the treble. If you're interested in that sort of thing, checking out Christian Henson's video about it is well worth it. And what you were just saying about the 808 bass drum, that's it. It takes up such a large slice of the audio spectrum that you've got to EQ it to get it to sit, so that there's room for other things. Whereas acoustic instruments tend to naturally balance themselves. It was a really, really good video we did.
Yeah, it is. And if you guys have got stuff like Ableton, right, and it's got a built-in spectrum analyzer in it. What have I got here? I've just got a System 100 plugged into this. If I make that bigger, you can see a nice big fat spectrum analyzer there, right? And that's just noise. Let's just listen to the synth sound. So you can just, even with a synth sound, it just takes up a lot of spectrum. So if we were to do kick sounds, I'd have to set up my filters and all that sort of stuff. I'll probably do it. But if we were to do kick sounds, sorry, that's back to you, Andy. You know, you can actually visually, if you don't know how to do that, most DAWs will let you look at the spectrum of your kick sound, and that's where you're wanting to sort of narrow down how much spectrum, because you don't want to muddy up some of the other sounds. And go and listen to that. Remember I was talking about Beastie Boys' Licensed to Ill? There's a song on there called Slow and Low or something like, it's Slow something, I can't remember. It's been like 30 years since I've listened to that album, but it's got this really boomy, long decay sounding kick drum from an 808, and just watch the spectrum on that, see how much compression and how much of they've treated that, because I guarantee you they have, because it sounds beautiful. It used to blow speakers, that track. It was awesome. I remember playing it in the car. It was the only thing that sounded decent in my car stereo. I had a terrible car stereo, but it was the only thing that sounded good in the car stereo. Because in the 80s, you'd have like these just terrible sounding car stereos. They didn't actually, you'd have to go to a car stereo place to get a decent car stereo. The ones that came out of the factory were absolute shocking. They're good nowadays, though, aren't they? But yeah, those days are it's one of those things. Right, and chatties, what have they been saying? Digital side of it. Yeah, it'd be interesting. Well, check out that the digital side of talking about TR-808. If it was out today, it'd have some sort of digital element to it. But check out that RC808 software that I was showing you guys before, and have a listen to how good that actually sounds. You'll be surprised. It's it's pretty good. Like, better than samples. I guarantee you'll be impressed. Like, make sure you put it through a decent set of headphones and through a decent sound card or a audio interface. That's for sure. Yeah, Chemical Brothers were good, weren't they? They still are. They used to, like in the early days, they used a lot of that sort of techno-y sort of use of the 808. It was more techno though, wasn't it? Probably more 909.
Wagyu was warning you about doing a filter sweep because of what happened to Starsky Carr.
What happened to Starsky Carr?
He got a copyright sting for demonstrating a filter sweep on a synth, and the publishing company for the Chemical Brothers got in touch and put a copyright claim against it, saying it was theirs. Eventually, that it all got.
You keep talking on.
That's it. You're going to get a sting now. That's it. You're going to get a sting now. That's it. You're too late. Wow. Apparently he did a filter sweep. The Chemical Brothers themselves heard about it and said, "This is nothing to do with us. That's ridiculous. No, we're gonna make sure this doesn't happen." But in the meantime, he'd got the sting
Poly D
through the YouTube bots. Yeah,
a Poly D.
Poly D was
wow. So it's not even a synth that they used, and he got stung. Wow, that would have been so much fun to like throw that book back at them. Get a good lawyer.
Go and have a look on his channel. He did a really good video about it, saying this is what's happened.
Yeah.
Let me know if you think this is blooming ridiculous, and it did get sorted out. So, but you just think the bots that are out there listening for stuff are.
We'll have to get him on the show. I do chat to him every now and then.
Clearly stupid. Yeah, get him on.
We'll have to get him on the show.
He's been showing his face recently. Had you noticed? He's been doing a TV clubbing TV. He's been doing stuff for that. They've been really good videos, and actually, you see what he looks like for the first time.
I actually know what he looks like because he's on my Facebook friends list. But yeah. I know what you mean. It's like the loop hop guy. For many, not many years, but we all know his hands. But then I think we saw him for the first time in one of those synth meetups. And everyone saw everyone's like, who's that guy? Oh, that's Loop Hop. His name's not Loop Hop, obviously, but yeah. But yeah, you guys I won't say his name, but you guys get the idea. Yeah, okay. So that's actually really, really interesting. Wasn't there, there was a Futurama episode, wasn't there, originally, where the guy was, at the recording company, and he was telling the guy behind the desk, you know, I've got a new album, and the guy said, no, you've got to put the album through the algorithm to see if it's original or not. And like it was like, nah, nothing on this album's original. It's going to be copyright stung. It was brilliant. Put the whole album through the algorithm.
I got one on the track Signs 432. I got a thingy on that. No idea, because the track I released, or 2 tracks later, which I thought was a sample that they'd actually, got me for. They didn't do anything for it, and it was more obvious in the 3rd track that I released than it was in Signs, and so it wasn't that. So I don't know what the problem with that is.
What did you
Same with that Brian Eno track that I might send you. Well, luckily it was only I couldn't get. It was just demonetized, luckily, which doesn't matter because I don't have money anyway. So it's still up there if you look at it. Signs 432. But yeah, that Brian Eno track, that remix that I'm going to send you, that keeps getting stung every time I even go to put it up. And I keep saying it's in the remix. It can just demonetize it, but.
So I've been stung for doing, you know, what do you call it, covers before, and I haven't seen Axel Soft for a while on the show, but we've been talking about it because his channel's got a lot of Jean-Michel Jarre covers, and he doesn't get stung for those, but he gets stung for the other stuff. Anyway, so this track I did, this is on my SoundCloud. I did a Apollo 440 cover of a song called Crupper, which is Krupa, which is the
Krupa.
Yes. He's the
Yeah.
So when I actually made this, I actually used all the samples that they would have used. And I'm not going to play it because I'll get stung, but I can probably, I don't know if it actually works if I played it. So that's actually the same as what's on the original album, right? And the thing is, if I was to put that on YouTube, I would get stung for some sort of copyright infringement. But that's not Apollo 440's sound either. That's Mr. Krupa's sound from the 1950s. So, you know, and in fact, technically the 1950s is still legally allowed to, you know, copyright enforce as well. I think it goes all the way back to 1920, 1929 or something. It is. It goes all the way back or something.
Here in the UK, we've got 50 years. America, I think, is 70. I don't know what it is in Australia. It does vary from territory to territory.
So I think it's 99 years in the US, which is where most of your grief is going to come from anyway, because that's where most of the algorithms are based. But yeah, depending on your country, it might be different. And you can't weasel out of it if it gets a bit grey. Where if you're, like, for example, if I'm playing that on SoundCloud, the servers are in America, so therefore, it comes under that law. So, but yeah, so my YouTube channel's got the last couple of covers that I did recently. Do you guys remember when I did the tribute to Kraftwerk?
Kraftwerk.
So that one got what they call a shared copyright. So that they recognise it as it being a cover, and so they were happy to share the monetization on that. But I did another one where I covered Art of Noise, Moments in Love. And that one, that was a cover, and it was not their original. You know, I didn't just copy their sound and put it on. I actually re-recorded everything properly, and that one got a complete copyright infringe on that. So yeah, go figure how it works. Yeah, Sasquatch has got a point, hasn't he? Let's bring that one up, eh? Remember way back when, like, do you remember that group Populate Itself? They were like sampling the crap out of everything, weren't they? I remember way back when sampling was creative and complementary rather than theft. Yeah. And I'm a big sample person. Like I actually think it's worth keeping going with the sampling. And what I do now is I kind of sample myself. So I'll just record my voice and then I'll mangle it up and resample it. and then nobody can say, "Oh, where did you get that from?" I'll just go, "With me," you know. So, or I'll sample something that I've played. And the great thing about having things like Akai Forces and NPCs and that is they make it so easy to do that stuff. So yeah, that side of it I actually really, really love doing. But yeah, it's a shame that I can't like grab a snip out of a Batman movie, you know, like a famous line or something like that, you know, like they used to do in the 80s and 90s, because you'll just get stung.
Well, you know what happened to my Into the Void, don't you? LV426. Because that got pulled by Fox. It must be quite a few videos. Well, it must be last year now, mustn't it? That got pulled by Fox. And the thing is, it had been up for a month before they pulled it. So,
what was it actually pulled for?
That might put out with. Well, I mean, I can see why they pulled it, but I mean, they could have just demonetized it because I don't make any money. Because I used the Alien video footage and I used the Alien, a lot of dialogue from it. And the video I did was
from the film.
matching it up, and the dialogue as well in the track, which is quite good. So I can see why they did it, but they didn't have to stop it from being shown. They could, because it was at the end of the thing.
Oh,
that
annoys me. Yeah, when they do that, that annoys me.
It's you know, it's not for me. It's only heightening the Alien film, so it's only going to make them more money, not me.
Yeah.
So, and I even put, you know, the end subscriptions are saying it's from the Alien film, so it's not like I'm trying to claim it's my sample of the film.
You just can't use it.
I don't see why they have to do that.
You just can't use them, though. That's the problem.
Did any of you catch what?
Yeah.
Eddie?
I was going to ask if any of you saw what Rick Beato was saying.
Yes.
Rick Beato testified to a Senate committee about fair use of copyright material in YouTube videos, and what's acceptable use, what's not acceptable, what's fair use. He did a sort of live stream on it that's available to watch, but it's actually really quite fascinating what he was saying. And
he does that series, what makes that song great or something, isn't he?
Exactly. So I mean, the point is he's using sort of original material. So he's not playing cover versions on the whole. He's using the copyright material to explain what it is about a particular song or a particular piece of music, which makes it a great song, a classic song. And in essence, he's being educational. So he's using it for teaching purposes, but he's also, in that sense, promoting the work of these artists. They are going to benefit from it. He's not making money off it in terms of trying to use the music for his own purposes. He's actually teaching. I thought he had a really, really good point. It does actually, it opens a can of worms. You know, the whole copyright thing is fraught, and of course, more so these days with the ease with which music can be copied and therefore also distributed. We've all done it. We've all passed, you know, digital copies of tracks to friends, which technically is illegal. You shouldn't do it, but we've all done it.
This is ironic of what I sent you.
Yes, indeed. But that's
not mention that.
We do it. We do it. We everybody does it, and of course the record industry is desperate to make money off anything these days.
Let's see what Wagoo said, because I reckon this is a good point. If there was a quick and simple way to clear samples, you know, things might be better. Like if there was some sort of legal thing that you could put the sample in and it pops out the other end and gives you a green light or a red light. You know what I mean? Like it just lets you know, yes, it's safe to use this, or no, you're not. I reckon that's a really, really good thing to bring up, because you may want to be an ethical producer, and in that sense, you may not want to have any copyright stings or anything like that. And you know, even you might have downloaded something where they've claimed that it might have been all these different laws, like what do they call it, Creative Commons, and all these different sort of things where they say it's completely free to use, and then you find out later that it's not. Someone's just put it's free to use on a website. So yeah, it's a really, really good point. And what you're saying, Andy, before, just quickly, Darren, before you jump in, with Rick Beato, like he got frustrated because I mean I've been following Rick since he was started basically, and he used to do those what songs, how does song makes it great sort of thing that he does, and a lot of this he actually for a while he was actually putting them on Vimeo because YouTube he just couldn't get the YouTube video up. It just kept he'd make spend ages making these videos and then pop them up on YouTube and they get pulled down. And the biggest problem he had with I think the biggest bonnet that he's got is with Fleetwood Mac, and the other one was I think Led Zeppelin. They were the two that really caused him a lot of grief, and it annoyed him because he wasn't playing the song for financial gain. He was actually being educative, and he was showing he was taking the song out. He was using software where you could actually pull vocals out or pull the guitar out, and it was quite clever what he did. But those record companies like Fleetwood Mac's management or whatever, they were arguing, well, he's making advertising money based on our song, so he can't have it. And you can argue both sides. I'd be sitting on the fence on that because I can see Rick making
Even
money.
He was sitting on the fence, though.
Well, he made a very rapid rise. He made a very, very rapid rise in YouTube. He had small amount of subs and then a lot of subs really quickly. Like that actually made him very, very popular quickly.
But he was actually well known anyway.
Correct.
Rick Beato was a well known,
very well known producer. Yeah.
Already. So
yeah.
But it's always going to be. I mean, I would have thought that. I've no idea. I mean, of course, Led Zeppelin, they were sampled and sampled and sampled in the early days for those drum loops, John Bonham's drum breaks, and you can understand them going, well, I'm a bit fed up with this. It's, they just keep nicking our music. Right, anything that's used now, we just block it. Fleetwood Mac might have been similar with things like the chain and so on, but ultimately, most artists are probably quite happy for the. If the songs are sampled well and used creatively, they're usually quite happy for it. Or for somebody like Rick Beato to be using their song in an why this is great has got to be a plus for them. I'm sure most are sympathetic. It's the publishing companies, the record companies, and the YouTube and other format algorithms which are picking these things up.
Well, if you ever want to know a good way of doing it, go check out Nick Batt's video where he talks about his what's it called again? DNA remix of Suzanne Vega, and how he had to go about Tom's Diner, and how he had to go about approaching her, and he was worried about whether that was going to turn out. So that's a good way to check it out. Now, Darren, you were going to say something, and we completely missed you. Did you remember what you were going to say?
Yeah, what I was going to say is, I had to do a project a few years back for a music producing thing, and it was to remix a track, and I took a track off Spotify. I forget the name of the track, I can find it, and I basically just used the track, completely chopped it up, redesigned the samples that I'd got from that track. So the whole track that I created was from that track. So I didn't use anything outside. I didn't use any of my sounds. It was all that track. Cut up, sampled, changed around everything. And when you listen to the track back, you could not tell. So what I had to do is I had to put the vocal in my track so that the class knew that it was a remix, because you could not tell. And then that is just such a weird scenario, because it is actually a remix, even though you could never tell it was. And you'd be, I don't even know how you'd be able to go back and find out whether because it's not the same drum loop, it's not the same thing, but everything was taken from that track. And it's like, but I had to put in the vocal so that people knew it was a remix. So if I didn't put that vocal in, it's technically a remix, but you'd never know it. That's the point. It's like, so, where'd you go with that? It's because you've used everything that they've used, but it's just an unknown mix that you'd never know. You'd never even recognize it was a track. Probably not even the sounds neither. But it's still a remix at the end of the day.
Firestarter.
Prodigy, yeah. Well, I mean, like, I'd be very interested to talk to guys like Clint Mansell, who was, the lead guy from Pop Will Eat Itself. Like, they sampled so much stuff. They were sampling actors, they were sampling movies, they were sampling other people's, music as well, and obviously they layered their own stuff on top. But it was like there was tracks of theirs. You go back to listen to some of their second or third album. That literally there were tracks that were completely just all samples, and they just sequenced a whole bunch of short stabby takes and made a track out of it. It was quite ingenious how they did it, and did it all on your same as what you've got, Darren, the Akai, is it the S2000 or whatever it was called? The the rack matters.
3000 XL.
Yeah,
3000 XL.
They did it all on one of those things, like the little panel. That would have been a nightmare, but that's how they did it. And I'd be very interested to see if they ever got stung. Because they were late 80s and they went through a fair bit of the 90s, didn't they? Can't remember what part of England they were from, but I think it was down Inky's way, wasn't it? I think they might have been.
Pop Will Eat Itself, Brummies.
It might have been Bristol or something.
They're from Birmingham.
Yeah, well, Liam from the Prodigy.
Birmingham.
I mean,
okay.
Liam from the Prodigy. I mean, what he samples the old stuff, and reworks in loads of the tracks.
If you mangle it enough, though, you can get away with it. So yeah. Yeah, anyway, we completely went off the topic of 808, but that's all right. We've been going now for 2 hours and 20 minutes since this pre-show started. So 2 hours since the normal show started. That's a pretty good effort. What do you guys think? I think it's probably a good time to put a pin in it and bid our farewells.
Yeah, it's fine by me.
Aye.
Well,
I'm baking hot.
Small amount of people that are left here watching. I appreciate you guys watching. Don't forget, though, you can always help me out by doing a bit of a let your mates know, share the video, click like. Trust me when I tell you this, that if you do click like on a video, it does help with the YouTube algorithm. What that actually means is if people are saying, like, if you don't like it, then don't click like. I'm not telling you to do that, but it does actually, a lot of people forget to click like on videos because they're just busy, or they like it, but they actually forget to click. And sometimes it gets annoying to have them to ask, but I actually don't often ask. But anyway, do that anyway if you can. And don't forget to tell your friends Saturday. We've been doing this show now for probably a year and a half, and it's been the same time, 2 p.m. UTC time. At the moment, it's 3 p.m. in the UK. And when daylight savings changes back to normal, it'll be 2 p.m. in the UK. When's that, Darren? It's about October, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So a couple of months away.
Last weekend in October, I think.
A couple of months away, and you'll go back to 2 p.m. But thanks very much, guys, for watching. I really, really appreciate you joining us every week. We love having your company. Darren and Andy, thank you so much, guys, for coming on. You're volunteering your time for free. And if I could somehow send you a virtual beer and make it sort of materialize with a 3D printer into a real one or something, I would. But we're on the other side of the world.
You've got £5 in the kitty that you can use for postage.
We'll share it. Yeah, that's it. Thanks everyone. Especially make sure you guys tell Darren and Andy that you appreciate them coming on as well, because they're giving us their free time, and it's really, really good of them. We won't have
nice comments in the chat. So.
We won't have Andy next week. But Darren will be here.
I'll have to watch it later. So,
and Inky will be in his chair, but not physically, just in that square, the Brady Bunch square. We've got the Brady Bunch squares here.
The Brady Bunch square, is that it?
Yeah. All right, guys. We will bid you guys farewell. Have a good Saturday and enjoy the rest of your 808 days. Go and make some tracks.
Okay.
Don't forget to hit record.
Okay, folks.
See you later.
Yes, track tomorrow.